it's a very interesting position in the band. So important. A good drummer can make a band. A bad drummer can sink it.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Mm-hmm. No, definitely. So with everything that you're doing, when did you decide to get involved in producing and writing and speaking beyond your music career?
Oh man, great! You're a great interviewer here, man. You're on fire, Yuri.
Well, thank you.
You know, if you're in Nashville long enough, the running joke is you will start writing songs, even if you didn't. I mean, there are hobbyist people that play golf, they're doctors and they're lawyers, but they hang around with musicians and they're like, yeah, you know, I got together with my musician friend. You know, we get together on the weekends around my fire pit and smoke cigars and drink whiskey, and of course the guitar gets passed around. Next thing you know, some doctor is a co-writer on a #1 song. You know, it's like this is how this stuff happens. And once again, it speaks to the power of relationships. People, I will always say that people make the world go around. So you can't know enough people, but more importantly, those people need to know you, right? So as a result of these relationships, I ended up getting a publishing deal at this publishing company called Magic Mustang Music. Excuse me. And I was actually a paid salaried songwriter, which was a lot of people were going, this drummer is crazy drummer for Aldean got this publishing deal. And then the other guys in my band got a publishing deal. So for 4 years, instead of focusing on being a session drummer when I wasn't touring,
Mm-hmm.
and by the way we tour in Nashville is we usually play on the road Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So we're on the bus taking the music to the people. And then Sunday we come back to Nashville and we could pet the cat, kiss the wife, kiss the girlfriend, water the plants. And you have Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday to play with. So on those days, I was a session drummer. I would play on other artists' albums and then go back on the road. And I decided for 4 years, I was just going to focus on learning the skill set of being a songwriter. And it was really good. It was a good experience. I've got, a 100 song catalog, and I had 3 of my songs go #1 in Australia with this group called the Wolf Brothers. They're kind enough to record 7 of my songs. And there was this cool artist named Colt Ford that wrote a song called Dirt Road Anthem for Jason Aldean. He recorded one of my songs and called Crank It Up, and it's been licensed to the NFL. And so really cool little things. Like I learned another skill set doing that. And then 10 years ago, along with Kurt and Tully and another partner named David Fanning, we created New Voice Entertainment, and we just started producing artists. And we produced a lot of people you've never heard of, and then along the lines, we had 2 #1 songs with a group called Thompson Square and a #1 song with a group called Parmalee. So that's just kind of like trying to be forward thinking and not putting limitations on myself. I mean, just the other day, I got a million messages. People were like, you're a crazy, fearless person, because I went and I co-hosted the morning news show in Nashville here called Today in Nashville. So I had my cute little fitted jacket on and my little cup of coffee and my lapel mic, and I was just quipping on current events and, making potato salad. I was like Al Roker, man. It was like so fun. And it's just the mental process of not putting limitations on yourself. Yes, I'm a successful drummer, but why can I not learn some other skill sets and swim in some other waters and experience some other great things in life? And it just comes from just having a willingness to do that. I mean, I'm in my acting classes with, 8-year-olds and high school kids, and they're so good and they've got such a bright future in front of them. And I just say to myself, you know what, just keep doing this, because there's acting parts for a 46-year-old man.
Mm-hmm.
And at the same time, this high school kid, they haven't played on 20 #1 songs. So everyone's got their little life journey. So you just have to kind of I just stick my neck out and do crazy things.
Yeah, that's great. So with fear, I'm really curious about that, because you talk about being fearless. Are there times where you are fearful? And in those instances, how do you overcome fear and push past it?
Yeah, fear. There's so many, yogis and spiritual people to be like, fear is like, do not fear fear. That's just, as soon as what's on the other side of fear? Nothing. It's just putting yourself out there. It's just one of those things where you just have to walk the tightrope and do it. It's like with my speaking. It's like I'm going to be speaking to these high performing corporate people that sometimes arrive to the event in a limo. Their salary is insane, and I'm going to give them takeaways. I'm the speaker. And it's like, yeah, I'm the speaker because I've been able to navigate one of the most difficult industries on the planet. And there was a psychology and a hustle and lessons learned from that process. And then that's all the speaker has to do is share their story and offer some nuggets and some takeaways in an educational, entertaining fashion. So I've been doing that for 12 years, and I just finally, if there's some people out there that are listening and are like, man, this hustle is taking forever, when am I going to get my break? I've been doing that for 12 years by myself, and I finally just got a speaking manager and got signed to a bureau, which is like a great, start in the right direction of taking that thing to the next level. But anything you do in life is just going to take a long time. I mean, my first book I wrote for children, Fundamentals of Drumming, it took 2 years and 12 edits to get that thing to where we needed to get it to be. And unless you're Stephen King, you are not going to get rich from writing a book. I mean,
right.
You're like, wow, what is this publishing deal? I make $1 a copy. Okay. It's tough, writing books, but if you want to do it, you should do it because you don't want to be a member of the woulda, shoulda club. You don't want that on your tombstone. You want to do everything you want to do with your life.
I'm curious to hear more about your speaking. So I saw that you do a course called Crash Course for Success and speak about that. Tell me more about that.
Yeah, CRASH is simply an acronym. It's an easy to remember acronym. It stands for commitment, relationships, attitude, skill, and hunger. So CRASH. And if you're curious, I've got it at crashcourseforsuccess.com. And it's basically just a high energy, unique edutainment event. So I get called a lot to start or end like business retreats and corporate gatherings. And like I said, I started out doing it for high schools and kindergartners and community colleges and I still do drum shops in the guitar centers and the Sam Ashes and, days of percussion and all that kind of stuff. But my focus has been taking it to corporate America, to people like Cisco and Johnson & Johnson and Hewlett Packard and Microsoft. And they appreciate it because, I'm one of the only drummers on the planet that's a motivational speaker. So even just a couple years ago, I had been doing this for like 7 years. And my parents were like, we don't understand what this is, son. And they finally got to come see one. And I was like, guys, you just have to come see it. It's like Jerry Lewis and Keith Moon from The Who and Tony Robbins in a blender. So it's like there's drumming, there's high energy drumming. It's all sweaty. Okay, so that's a great way to show my messaging and physically manifest my messaging. And then it's quality messaging that's really thought out, like Tony Robbins. And there's an element of literally walking a tightrope and being a stand-up comedian, like a Jerry Lewis or a Seinfeld or a Stiller or something, where it's just there's a little bit of mayhem, and that levels the playing field and brings me down to the audience's level. It's not like I'm on a pedestal, like, look at me, I'm a drummer you've seen on television. It's like we're right there. I'm sweating with them. I'm throwing. It's just fun.
That does sound like a lot of fun. In the early days, how did you book your first few gigs? Did you reach out and contact the individual organizations? Did they come and find you? How did that work?
Yeah, it's really funny. A lot of people ask me about how do I do this? And the thing is that you just have to do it. It's like it's definitely not going to land in your lap. I remember the early days of booking drum clinics on Aldean's bus, and we'd be cruising down the highway at 70 miles an hour. The band's in the front lounge. We're, just listening to music and playing video games, and I'm on a cell phone going, can you hear me now? Can you hear me? I'm calling to the professor at the community college or the band director at the high school saying, I'm going to be in town. I'm playing the basketball arena on campus. Can you come get me and I will speak to your percussion studio about, drumming and success in drumming and all that kind of stuff. And there was a lot of like resistance. Well, because I didn't have a brand name yet. And I was like, look at this is easy. It's no cost to you. I need a drum set. And then you show up and you're full of energy and you have so much messaging. You're like, okay, let's talk about reading music. Let's talk about playing styles. Let's talk about navigating your career. And then I'd get the kids up and play and give them pointers on how to play better instantly. And like any business, to grow it, you need marketing materials. So I had people take pictures. I did video. I got testimonials from people that hired me. And then I just grew that business until I became a known educator. But you can't be afraid to literally just pick up the phone and cold call people and just fall in love with that rejection, because you'll get a bunch of like lazy people that don't necessarily want to have that one extra thing to do with their day, even though it would greatly impact and affect their students or their student body in a positive way. You know, so you have to get past that and find your tribe, find your true believers of people. So now I have a circuit where I know that when I go to South Carolina, such and such person is always going to hire me to do a clinic. And if I go to Dallas, Texas, such and such person is always going to say, hey, you're in town. Let's do that thing again, man. You know?
Yeah, definitely. So with everything that you've done and are doing, you're talking about sales and marketing and a lot of other skills. Did you learn these in school? Were there things that you took on, you found mentors or read books? How did you learn those type of skills?
Yeah, sales and marketing is, I really feel like, I mean, you're a salesman. We're all salespeople because some are better than others. You know, it's definitely a skill you can learn, but it's just, I think I just had it. And some people are just in sales, you know, but no one is going to hire you to use your chosen skill set unless they buy into you as a human being. So really, you're selling yourself first, and it starts with your eyes. It starts with your handshake. It starts with that feeling that you give your people in their stomach. Can they trust you? Are you a person of integrity? Are you going to do what you say you're going to do? Because your reputation is everything, and it precedes you. And it takes a lifetime to create a reputation and one thing to destroy it. So it's like so crucial that we sell ourselves first, and then we walk the walk. But yeah, I read. I used to read a lot of fiction, dragons and computers and explosions. And I mean, I was such a little nerd kid. I love that stuff. But then as you get older, I read purely things on inspiration, motivation, career building, branding, fitness, that kind of stuff, where it can actually impact my life, and I can actually change my life and use those tips.
Sure. What book have you read recently that has made the most impact on you?
Oh man, that's a great question. What have I been reading? The last one that I just love. I mean, I'm always a student, always revisiting Napoleon Hill. So, the Law of Success, all that stuff, the Zig Ziglar stuff, Tony Robbins, Awaken the Giant Within. Yeah. I'm going totally blank right now, but I do consume a lot of books on my iPad because it's just so convenient.
Sure, I bet.
I never thought I would go there. Yeah, especially when you're touring and you don't want to carry around 20 books in your backpack. But yeah, anything on branding and marketing and all that kind of stuff, because we are a product. Just like, think about when someone says, hey, they don't say, hey, get me one of those ear cleaning devices. They say, give me a Q-tip, right? Even though there's a million different brands of ear cleaning devices. Or just someone says, hey, do you want a Coke? That also might mean a Dr. Pepper or a Sprite, but we say a Coke as like a carbonated beverage. So you want to be one of those products, that comes to mind.
Yeah.
I think that's the goal.
Yeah. Top of mind recognition. That makes sense. So you've mentioned Tony Robbins a couple of times. Have you been to any of his events?
I haven't. I just, I'm so old school. I've got the books. Those things are expensive.
They are. They're a lot. They're investments.
No, but the funny thing is that I just started a podcast myself called Pick Rich's Brain, and I'm doing episode 4 this Saturday, and it's a double whammy because it's a podcast and a webisode. So the webisodes go on YouTube, and then the podcasts are on, Google Play, iTunes, and Stitcher. And I'm just interviewing successful people, starting with people in the music industry, and I'm going to be branching out. And of course, my producer has already reached out to Gary V and Grant Cardone and Tony and all these people that I kind of, admire as far as like what they've done with building a large audience. So you never know. Hopefully these people would get back to me and would be like, yeah, I would love to do it. I might need to do 100 episodes before they, take me seriously. And that's okay, because I know 100 people that are successful in the music and art, or artistic fields.
Oh, yeah.